This will be for the con assignment, write equations of parallel and perpendicular lines. So they want us to write the equation of a line that is perpendicular to y equals 0.25 x minus 7 and passes through the point -6, 8. All right. So when the lines are perpendicular, their slopes are going to be the negative reciprocals of each other. All right, so perpendicular slopes are negative reciprocals. And there's two steps to finding the negative reciprocal. The first step, we like to say flip it. Okay, in other words, you take the reciprocal. And the second step of finding the negative reciprocal, you want to change the plus minus sign. All right, so two steps, flip it and then change the plus minus sign. Let's take a look. Now, in the problem here, this is the equation that the line is perpendicular to. Now, this decimal point, it's kind of hard to take the reciprocal of that. So I know that 0.25 is equivalent to 1/4. All right, so I am going to rewrite this equation as y equals 1/4 x minus 7. All right, and as most of you know, this is in the form of y equals mx plus b. And we know that m represents the slope, so the slope in this case is just 1/4. All right, so the slope m equals 1/4. And now we want to find the perpendicular slope. So the first step we said was to flip it. So instead of 1/4, it's going to be 4/1. And then change the plus minus sign. So it's positive right now. I'm going to make it negative. All right. So negative 4/1 is just 4. And the perpendicular slope, I'm going to indicate perpendicular with this upside down T. All right. That's the perpendicular symbol. So the slope of the perpendicular line is just going to be -4. So I'm going to use that in a minute. And these are 2 points that pass through. This is one point that passes through the line. Okay, and I am going to call those points x1 and y1. Okay, we know that x coordinate is first and the y coordinate is second. So most of you know y equals mx plus b, but if you have the slope and one point that's given, you're better off using point slope form. So in case you didn't know point slope form, the equation is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. All right, so we leave y as is, and y1 we said was 8, so that's just y minus 8. Our new slope m we said was -4, so in place of m, that's -4. And we have x minus x1. We see x1 is -6, so it's x minus -6. And that's your answer. Now, 2 negatives in a row, I believe Khan actually accepts it like that. Okay, if you want to, you can change it to positive. Let me just see if it accepts it. All right, I'm going to type this in the box. Y minus 8 equals -4. All right, type parentheses, and this is x minus -6. X minus -6. All right, and they close the parentheses for you. So Khan Academy did accept the answers with 2 negatives in a row, but as we know, 2 negatives in a row actually makes it positive. So that would probably be a better way to write it, but it's okay as is. Okay, write the equation of a line that is parallel to y equals negative 5/4 x plus 7 and passes through the point negative 4, 1. All right, so parallel lines have the same slope. All right, so we don't have to flip it and change the sign because we're dealing with parallel lines. And as we said before, this equation is in the form of y equals mx plus b. All right, m is your slope, so we can see right here the slope m is negative 5/4. Okay, we don't have to do anything to that because parallel lines have the same slope. And now, like we did before, since we have slope and 1 point, it's easier to use point slope form. So the equation is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. All right, let's see. So the point that the line passes through, like before, I'm going to call that x1 and y1. Okay, x is always the first number and y is the second. So y minus y1, we leave y, and that's minus y1, so that's a minus 1. M is the slope, that's just negative 5/4 in place of m. X we leave alone, and then minus x1, we see x1 is negative 4, so it's minus negative 4. Okay, you can leave the double negative, or you can change it to a positive, but that is the final answer. Click inside the box, type y minus y1, y minus 1 equals, and I'm going to type negative 5/4, okay, and it gave me the fraction, and then click the right arrow key because we don't want to type in the denominator, and now I'm going to type the parentheses x minus negative 4, inside the parentheses x minus negative 4. All right, it closes the parentheses for you. And again, you can make this plus if you want. Instead of x minus negative 4, you can just make it positive, x plus 4. So there's your final answer. All right, so perpendicular, you take the negative reciprocal, flip it and change the sign. For parallel, it's the same slope. Write the equation of a line that is perpendicular to x equals negative 6, that passes through the point negative 1, negative 2. All right. So we don't have a slope for this equation, but it's actually very easy, and I'll show you on the graph. You don't actually have to do this, but I'm going to show you. We know left, right is the x-axis, up, down is the y-axis. And x equals negative 6, this is the x-axis. If we count out to negative 6, say about right there, the line for x equals negative 6 is basically like that. All right, so that line is x equals negative 6. Now, since this line is straight up and down, the line perpendicular to it will be straight left and right. Okay, so because it's going to have to make a right angle. So we don't know where this line is going to be until we check out the point that it passes through. And it says right here, the point that the new line passes through is negative 1, negative 2. All right, so since this is x equals something, The perpendicular line is going to be y equals something. Well, what does y equal? Well, if it passes through this point and the second number is the y coordinate, y has to equal -2. So there's your answer right there. And if you want to see it on the graph, this is the y-axis. Count down about 2 units. And this right here is going to be y equals -2. So that's it. Type in the box, y equals -2. So remember, if it's perpendicular and you have x equals some number, the perpendicular line is going to be y equals some number.